Aloha! Welcome everybody. I'm here in my home in East Hawaii and really delighted to be able to share this practice with you today. It's a seated practice and it's really been helping me during this time of upheaval and change in my personal life and in the life of everybody's life and our communities and our families, all the changes in our daily activities and the different kinds of stresses and uncertainty that are being placed on us right now. And so this seated practice is something that's really been a boon for me in keeping me grounded, in keeping me calm, helping me deal with my anxiety and some of the concerns that I'm sure we all share. And so yeah, just very, very happy to know you're out there and receiving this. And I've really been missing all of you and teaching. And so this is a really nice alternative. And shortly I'll be releasing a whole set of videos with an online studio called Practice. And you can find out more about that in my newsletter on my website. So here, I'm going to start in the Virasana position, sitting in the hero's pose, just taking a moment to set our intention. And my intention today is going to be to develop the quality of peace within myself and to radiate that quality out into the world. And so we'll just take a moment, bowing the head and bringing the hands together at the heart and allowing yourself to tune into what would be most valuable for you at this time. What would you like your practice to serve within yourself and in the world? And then go ahead and lift the head and lower the hands. So we're sitting in this Virasana, no surprise, one of my go-to poses. And if your buttocks aren't making it all the way down to the floor, this is a lot of stretch in your knees or your ankles. Go ahead and give a little support underneath both hips. You can use a block or a folded blanket. In the practice today, I'm going to be using a bolster and 2 blankets. But if you don't have 2 blankets, you can use a blanket and a block. You can use 2 blocks. Be creative, and you'll get the sense of how the props are used. And so from this Virasana position that we've been sitting in for our intention setting, we're going to take one leg out. And we're going to place it, the right leg we'll take out first, and we're going to place it in the squat leg position. So here the heel is close to the outer buttock, not right in against the opposite inner thigh, but close to the outer buttock of its own leg. And we'll take the left hand, will go over the knee, and the right hand will come into a gesture of wisdom called Jnana Mudra. We'll take the index finger and bring it to the base of the first digit of the thumb, and then let the arm just gently drape over that squat leg knee. And then we'll just take a moment here and really go down into the base of your shape. So feeling the buttocks releasing, seeing if you can weight the 2 buttocks evenly. There's a slight turning of the pelvis that happens here, a rotation of the pelvis slightly forward, and then a movement up through the crown. And one of the things that I'd like to mention today is just to really allow yourself to get quiet in these shapes. We're going to be holding them a little bit longer. And this sense of giving yourself enough time to really allow the shape to ripen and give you its gifts. It's a really important aspect of the practice. We don't want to just pop right in from one thing to the next. But by slowing down, and although this isn't a yin style practice where we stay a long time with no muscular activity, it's still a very grounding, seated practice. And it helps us to kind of slow down and get more present with the nuance of each shape. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides, taking the right leg into Virasana, bringing the left leg into the squat position. Again, taking the Jnana Mudra, coming over the knee with the arm or the armpit. If you have that capacity, that knee actually ends up right in the armpit. That can help open up the sinus cavities. Right hand's going to go on the right knee. And part of the idea in this seated practice today is to really allow yourself to connect with the energy of the earth, which has a calming, stabilizing effect on the body-mind. But that connecting and staying kind of downward moving through the base, there's also an upward movement through the crown. So it's almost like the body is spanning heaven and earth. And that earth element, you want to connect with that first. Allow the energy to sink, and then there's a lift that comes up through the anterior spine, through the neck and head, all the way up to the top. You can go ahead and check in with your shoulders, releasing the shoulders down. Upper back slightly engaged, and release. And we'll go ahead and take the legs and stretch them out, Dandasana. So I'll show you from the side here. Legs are engaged. And if you're a little tight through the backs of the legs and buttocks here and your spine is rounding, it's hard to sit up straight. Again, you can sit on a little bit of height, right on the edge of the blanket with your buttocks. The arms can be used for support behind you. And then I'm using this particular shape after the bent knee shapes to get rid of any residual strain that might have been created in the knees. So I want to engage around the knee. Thighs are lifted, kneecap is drawn up, and feet are active, toes are spreading, and there's a downward movement through the thigh. So now the base of the pose becomes not just the buttocks and the thigh, but the entire length of the shin and the back of the heel. And it's that downward movement through the legs that helps to create the lift through the spine, as well as the work through the core muscles, the back muscles. And again, you can take a little bit of weight onto the hands to help open the upper chest and the upper back. Then we'll go ahead and interlace the fingers and rest the palms on the crown. Turn the palms up towards the sky. And as you exhale, extend the elbows. Stretching the backs of the wrists, touching the tips of the thumbs together, feeling that engagement through the back body and through the arms. And again, that spanning of heaven and earth, the downward movement through the legs, the upward movement through the spine and the hands and the arms. And then release. And let's do a little bit of warming up. I'm warm. It's hot here in Hawaii today, but it might not be so warm, or maybe it'll be warm where you are as well, but it could be the morning and you could maybe not have moved around a whole lot yet today. So let's go ahead and sit either cross-legged in Sukhasana, or you can put your right foot up in half lotus, or if you're comfortable taking full lotus without warming up too much, go ahead and bring yourself into full lotus. I'm going to stay in half lotus for now. And you can bring whichever leg is more comfortable in the lotus shape. And let's go ahead and do just a little bit of warming up now. So from here, we're going to take our chin down to our chest, round our spine, and collapse a bit, making a C curve of the back. And then as we inhale, we'll lift the chest, the chin, rolling forward. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch and lift the chin. Exhale, folding in slightly, rounding the back. Inhale, opening the front, engaging the back. And one last time like that. Rounding chin to chest. Shoulder blades separating in back. And And then inhaling, lifting, opening the front body, chin to sky, and release. Let's go ahead and take the shoulders and circle the shoulders up and back, down and forward. And then draw them up and hold them, squeezing the shoulders up towards the ears. Take a deep breath in, exhale, release. And then we'll circle the other way. Shoulders going back and up, forward and down. And then squeeze and lift. And exhale, release. Interlacing the fingers, circle the wrists. And reverse. Shake out the hands. And the twists. One hand patting the front shoulder, other hand patting the kidney area, head following the movement. And release, circling the navel. And reverse. And release. So let's go ahead now and come back into our Virasana position with the right leg. If you have knee issues in Virasana, you can leave the foot further out to the side for this next shape, but if it's possible, pull the foot right in close towards the outer buttock. The left foot is going to rest on the inner thigh, and then we're going to turn towards the Baddha Konasana leg, bound angle shape in this leg. And we're going to fold. Now, if you have some support or want some support, you can take your bolster and rest your forehead and your forearms on the bolster this way. Or if you want to go down a little bit deeper, this shape works. Or if you want to stack your fists and rest down on your fists or the backs of your palms, my trunk is following the line of my leg. So the knee ends up kind of right between my breasts, and then resting the head down. Let's go ahead and take a few breaths here. Relaxing the back body. Allowing the right hip to release down as much as it can. Feeling the turning of the navel in towards that left leg. And then each breath that I come back to here, just potentizing my intention to be at peace, to feel peace, to embody peace, to generate peace. And placing the hands on the floor, gently press yourself up. Now we're going to take that right leg and extend it out. A little bit like the Shavasana shape. So here I've got, my thighs are really, about 90 to 100 degrees of opening here. Left foot's resting on that right inner thigh again. And this time, I'm going to fold towards my straight leg. You can take some support on your shin, a block or a bolster, and staying back through the base, I'm going to reach out and rest my head on the bolster and catch a hold of either side of my foot. I take my arms and I like to slide my arms right underneath the bolster. If you're not quite that flexible in this shape, you can leave the bolster up on a higher level. And it's also fine to work this same shape here if the head doesn't really get close enough to some surface that you have available. Then you can keep the head up and just work with the spine extended and lengthened. But ultimately the shape folds in on itself. Let's take a few breaths here. And then inhaling as you come up. And we're going to go into a shape, seated twist called Artemis Ii. So now I've taken that left leg and bringing it a little further over to the right side, and I'm going to cross the right leg over the left thigh, like this. Let's just take a moment going back to the base, feeling the two buttocks weighted evenly, like we did in the very first shape, the Pavanmuktasana, where when we have the legs doing different things here, it can change the height of the pelvis on either side. So we want to just go back and feel, see if we can intentionally keep this right hip and buttock down as best we can. Then, if you bring the right hand behind you, lift the left arm up. You're going to lengthen through the front of the trunk and then turn to the right, bringing the left arm, to the outside of the leg. You can hold on to the knee if you have that available, or just work this way with the arm. Back hand can stay on the floor initially. And then just take a few breaths here, letting yourself really sink. The action of the turning starts very deep down in the legs. And really in Ardha Matsyendrasana, the half-fish twist, the lower part of the body from the navel, diaphragm area, front of the sacrum, all the way down to the root at the base of the spine and the pelvis, those three areas stay stacked vertically. And then it's really more the upper body that turns here. The chest, the rib cage. You'll notice that I'm not turning the head yet. I'm just looking over that left shoulder. And then I'm going to release, uncross that leg, and coming into my Upavishta Konasana, my straddle forward bend. And I'm going to take the bolster in front of me. You can also, if you need the bolster a little bit higher, you can fold your blanket or use a block underneath and angle your bolster up. And then legs are going to stay active, meaning I'm pressing down through my thighs and out through my feet, and then I'm going to fold in. And I'm going to remove this blanket since I don't need it right now. You can either work with the elbows extended and the arms straight, and then use that pressure to push back into the hips, or you can also bend the elbows and let the forearms rest on the ground and broaden here, especially if there's any strain at all in the neck in this shape. Again, I'm breathing in peace. Breathing out peace. Letting the mind get still. First with engagement in the activity. And then an even deeper letting go. As I contact my own inner source. Stillness and divinity. And then we'll go ahead and inhale coming up and take the second side of the sequence. So here, I'm going to bring the left leg into the Virasana shape. You can sit on a little bit of height under both buttocks here if this is already a challenging shape for you. Right foot's going to stay on the inner thigh, and I'm going to turn and fold over that right leg. And then I start to explore the sensations in the groin, the movement of the breath. This is a fairly passive shape, so I'm really letting myself relax as layers of tension start to unwind. But I'm remaining fully present with the experience as it arises, breath by breath. Noticing how any striving or pushing takes me away from that place of inner peace. And then coming up from that shape, we'll go ahead and take the left leg into the extended position. And turning, engaging through that extended leg, rotating the torso, and then folding. And maybe this is just as far as you go. And if you don't want to be bothered with the blocks and the bolster, you don't need to be. You can just work here at your edge. And it's really in this way that what we practice in the yoga asanas, especially the ones that are challenging for us, where we come up to our edge of what's possible for us, then really all the richness lies in discovering how to meet that edge. So how, when we meet up with a limitation, how can we soften and stay without pushing and allow that to change in its own time, in its own way? How can we meet our limitations with presence, with equanimity, patience, and persistence? If you have the capacity and you want to go a little deeper into the fold without strain, you can begin to release the forearms and the head down. And then inhale, slowly coming up. And taking that leg in. And stretching both legs again in our Dandasana position. Oops, sorry, forgot the Artemis Ii, my bad. But I'm not going to start from the beginning again, so just bear with me. So let's go ahead and take that left leg up and over. I knew something didn't feel quite right there. And this foot doesn't have to be up, close. Sometimes it's a little easier, especially if you have a little shorter limbs and a little stiffness through the outer leg. Sometimes it's easier to keep the foot a little further out away from the trunk. And then I'm going to, again, start at the base and settle in. And that left arm comes behind, the right arm can come up, Ardha Matsyendrasana, the half fish twist, and I turn as I lower the arm and I twist to the left. Palm faces away. Now look at my right shoulder. I want to keep that shoulder down away from my ears. If it's possible, you can rotate the hand inward and catch a hold of the knee without pulling it too high up off the floor if you can help it. You want to, again, keep the whole base rooted. And right now, I'm not turning the head. These first couple of twists, I'm just going to keep my head facing forward, and I'm going to stack. Base of the spine, pelvic area, and the lower abdomen. I'm going to stack those vertically. And then just let the upper body start to turn. Shoulders, the rib cage. Releasing the diaphragm. Feeling the oblique muscles engage, muscles that connect the ribs and the pelvis and help to turn the spine via the rib cage. And then again, releasing, taking that leg out And we can stretch the legs for a moment in Dandasana. So we've been doing some forward bends and working with the hips a bit. So I'd like to now go down into bound angle shape, the Supta Baddha Konasana. So I'm going to place my bolster or stack of blankets here. And I'm going to elevate my legs in this particular shape. So I lie down onto my back. And I'm going to bring my feet together on the bolster, my outer shins together on the bolster, my outer shins resting, on the bolster. And I'm fairly close. Sometimes this can be done with a strap, binding the feet in. But this is working pretty well for me right now. I'm going to keep the feet active. And then I'm going to invite you to take the arms overhead by interlacing the fingers. Again, resting the backs of the palms on the top of the head and then extending out through the arms. So there's a sense of engagement through the upper back. This will bring a little bit more curve into your spine. So the spine will start to lift slightly away from the floor. Curve meaning extended curve, back bending curve. And then I'm going to just rest my arms down by my side. Take a few breaths here in this shape. Coming back to my intention of peace. Inwardly and outwardly. Noticing how that impacts my breath. And from here, drawing the legs together. If you wanted to stay in the shape a little longer, you could pause the video and stay a little bit longer. And here, we're going to come into Setu Bandhasana. So I'm taking my bolster or my block. This is a fairly low bolster. I take my bolster or my block and I'm going to place it right underneath my pelvis and my buttocks. And then just take a few breaths here, letting the front body open. And lifting up, press down into the feet, and take the pelvis up away from the bolster. You can create railroad track arms here with your arms here. So you bend your elbows and your palms will face each other on either side of your belly. And then you press the back of your arms into the floor using your lats. Getting a little more lift through the upper back. And then go ahead and release that bolster and come on down vertebrae by vertebrae. And then finally, we're going to finish with a little relaxation posture, Shavasana. So if you are using bolster, you've got your bolster, you can take your bolster behind your knees. I'll show you that in a moment, and just roll your blanket up. That can go behind your heels, bolster behind your knees. And then if you'd like a pillow, the folded blanket underneath your head. Your arms come out by your sides, turn your palms up if that's comfortable. And then once you've adjusted, this roll behind the back of your ankles should really roll all the way down to your backs of your heels. So you're supporting the negative space in the body. And then we'll rest in our Shavasana. Each breath, an invitation to drop into inner peace. Feel free to extend your Shavasana. And that was a brief practice for today, 30-minute practice roughly, but something that you can hopefully use. And I'll plan on, if I get this downloaded easily and out to you, I'll plan on doing more in the following weeks to come. Know that you're in my heart, and I'm wishing peace and blessings for all of you, safety, good health, comfort, all the things that in your life can help to bring you peace, and also that you can find a way to access that within yourself regardless of outer conditions. So I'm sending you lots of aloha from the big island of Hawaii. Namaste.